Hello and welcome everyone to today's community call on the topic women's wounds. There's so many of them, I'm sure, and many of you have probably have had some reflections on the topic. But without further ado, let's get going, Alia, and let's start our insightful discussion.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Diana. So
Hi.
there are so many wounds that we experience as women, and I think at first glance, when we look at them, they seem incredibly complicated sometimes. Uh, but the way I see it, if we want to heal them, it's actually, for me, I think it's very simple. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy path. It's a very long path that we need to walk. But I think it's very simple, the structure and what we need to do. And yes, it might take years to change your pattern, but I think we will going to give you a very simple structure what to do. So the first thing that I believe we need as women to understand it's about women wounds is that we oftentimes we see our wounds only from the negative perspective. And we see ourselves as victims. So, and if we want, and this is a little bit in the direction that Barbara spoke yesterday. So, and if we want a different life, if we want to thrive, if we want to stop being wounded and to feel these wounds inside of us, we need to shift the perspective. So, we need to see not only the negative, but also the positive side of those wounds and to start searching for the gold and what we can extract from them. So the whole conversation isn't about feminism or any other ideology that you might have. It's simply from the human perspective. And if we want to heal our psyche, I believe it's important to start and see ourselves as more empowered, more strong. So, first of all, I want to warn women if you feel triggered, maybe sit with it and then come in our Q&A session and ask your questions and let's find where the gold is. But I think it's very important also to allow ourselves to feel fear, to feel frustration, to feel anger, disappointment, but not so much to blame the other and not so much to feel as a victim. And the first big wound that we have and that I want to talk about is our women's cycle, because this is something that every woman around the globe experience after like some time around our puberty. We start having our cycle. And I believe for many of us women, it's a very painful and inconvenient period of our monthly cycle. So I oftentimes see many women who are complaining, who are not feeling happy with their cycle. Hi, Chrissy, welcome.
Hi.
So, yeah, the cycle is a very, very important part of our experience, and maybe both of you, Diana and Chrissy, you can share like what are your experiences around your cycle throughout your life, not only today, but in general when you were younger, probably.
Yeah, and that is a beautiful question, Ala, because We are different generation, Chrissy and I, and I only wish somehow the generations have evolved a bit because where I'm coming from, it was not really talked about freely. You know, it was not even, and as a young, well, as an adolescent, let's say 12, 13, whenever, you know, your cycle comes, if this is something that your mother or kind of the women around you or the older women around you are not talking freely about, you're already subconsciously somehow coming to this conclusion that this is something, you know, that is there, but I need to cope with it on my own. And maybe there's something um, not shameful about it to talk about, but something uncomfortable. You know, this was my reading
For
from
me,
very
I
young age.
believe it was even shameful to talk about it, or at least we need to hide it.
Oh, you need, I hid it. This was my reaction. I hid it. I did not tell my mom immediately. So
But
all
I think it was also expected, and it's still expected somehow to hide it from men, from especially from the opposite sex. You need to put your tampons or whatever you're using. You need to put it. You need to hide it somewhere in your bag, nobody to see it.
and take your purse and go to the toilet. And yeah, exactly. There is some kind of a secretness around it. That is very interesting. And I'm very curious, Chrissy, how was your experience? Obviously, hopefully a different one than mine. But
Yeah, I've had quite a different experience actually. I guess it's because, you know, a generational difference, but also I think I've been very privileged in my immediate circle because, you know, talking about your cycle was never something shameful, or at least that I have experienced it as something shameful. It was very normalized, very, you
beautiful.
know, something that you could freely talk about. You didn't have to like hide your supplies or anything. It was a very free and comforting space to talk about it. So I guess I have been very privileged in that way because I've never had to feel shame about it.
So what is your story around that coming from this background?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat it?
What is your story around the story that you kind of carry in your mind regarding the cycle coming from this kind of upbringing?
Well, I guess something that's very, you know, a normal part of experiencing womanhood, and something that, you know, every woman supposedly goes through, and something that happens every month is normal. So I haven't had any problems with it. My body has always been very kind to me, I guess, because I have accepted this as something that's a normal part of, you know, my monthly
Yeah,
life. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, so this is exactly the attitude we are searching for. Actually, like a woman who accepts her cycle doesn't feel as a victim to the cycle or to the society. So this is the very first step, I believe, and it's very important for women to shift to this perspective and yeah, to feel that this is something that it's regular. And not only that, but I'm thinking it's also very important to see our cycle as something that gives us power to create and to bring something very beautiful into the world, because it's through the cycle that we are able to conceive and we are able to later on give birth to our children. So a very creative process at the end of the day. And this is actually the treasure inside of the nature, what gives us. And this is our power, I believe. And actually, it took me, I couldn't realize it for until I've got my third child. When I was pregnant with my third child, this is when I realized the importance of being a woman in this creative process. And I think for many women, this is very important shift when you see what you're capable of giving to the world. And I think once you realize this power, you don't need to prove so much to the world. This is perfect, and it's more than enough because it's such a creation. I don't know, Diana, what is your experience with that?
I remember being so proud after I delivered my first baby. I thought, wow, I'm so powerful. I have to laugh now, but I really was very, very kind of proud of myself of the result that I'm bringing to the world. And I remember after the delivery of my second daughter, I had this feeling of, again, proudness, but also of relief because I thought I never have to experience this pain anymore because I was kind of I wanted two children, so I said, okay, um, I'm so relieved now because it was also painful at the same time.
Yeah, it's very interesting because for me, when I gave birth for the first time, I was maybe, I don't know, maybe I was not so connected to, I don't know, to what is it to my body? I'm not so sure. But for me, I was shocked. I couldn't believe how is this possible. And I couldn't understand the creation process. It was like a very big of a surprise. I couldn't believe that how from two little dots you create a whole baby. And of course, I don't understand the process yet, but it was, I couldn't be proud of myself because I could see there is another energy source that helps us create this. So it was for me like very mesmerizing process. And
Exactly. So this is look at my naivety at the time because
mhm,
obviously uh, there's something bigger than us in the nature or consciousness, whatever you call it, uh, in this process because we just carry the baby like we are the vessels.
yeah,
But nevertheless, I felt so proud because it was my product. But look at the naivety of this, right? You know, at the time when I was experiencing.
for me, it was like a very mesmerizing thing, but I was trying to see. w- I didn't think it's my part of the process, but it was like very, I felt like I need to learn more and more about what's inside of me and all the powers that we are connected to because it's here. And I was even wondering, is this mine? Is it coming really from me? Am I dreaming? Is it really happening? So I remember a lot of this. And then with each childbirth, I could feel more and more connected to nature and to myself and to my even to my body. And with every child I was like more and more accepting to what is happening. And actually what I'm thinking also, the cycle is this cycle that we are having like each month is giving us this power and opportunity to constantly reconnect to our bodies because when we are going to work, whatever we are doing, we forget about this connection. And I believe this is the reason why men are much more disconnected and they don't have so much intuition because even if we are like absolutely into work and into the doing process, at some point our cycle, even if like Chrissy says, I have a very nice body, it doesn't bother me the cycle, but it slows us down a little bit. It There are certain changes that are happening in our bodies, and the same process is repeating but very big time when we are pregnant for 9 months, like whatever kind of pregnancy you have. But your your body slows you a little bit down, and it reminds you you're not the you're in full control, but then in the same time there are greater force
The part
that
of
it's
us.
responsible. And I what I experience every single time when I'm pregnant, because I'm like very quick in movement, so every time I want to stand up I'm very quick and I forget I'm pregnant, but my body is telling me, okay, but you need to slow down. And yes, you experience sometimes here and there a pain, but actually this pain is just a reminder where you are, and to really start, like really reconnect to the body and start listen to your body. And I think this is a huge gift at the end of the day for us as women, because usually we perceive it as pain, we complain, we try to get as much as possible from the opposite sex because we are pregnant or because we have our cycle. But the treasure inside is that we can reconnect constantly. And if we use it, then we can get so much out of it.
Mhm. And quite metaphorically, actually, is exactly because of that you can have pain, but exactly because of that you can have this treasure as well. So it's quite a beautiful, if you want, a metaphor for what we're
Mhm.
talking. If you extend it to women's wounds as a kind of a bigger topic, not only the cycle, it is exactly through the wound or through the pain where we can grow. Um, and then I have another reflection, but maybe we do it.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly that's why I thought like cycle is a representation of all our wounds, but it's something that we all have and it's all the same for us. And exactly through pain, sometimes we understand our lessons. And what is the other reflection point that you have?
Yeah, I was thinking to give it a little bit more towards the end, but I will throw it in now and we can come back at the end. Just like, because now we are talking that the cycle is our kind of a treasure and pain at the same time, and there's so much creative force and power through that. And then when coming into the menopause part, it is also quite an interesting period because you're no longer having this cycle. And are you still in your power? Are you still in your creative, and we're having a wonderful speaker this month, Jennifer Whitten, who is exactly going to talk about that and how we go and we move ourselves through that stage. But it's such an interesting reflection a little bit because yes, you do feel powerful and privileged in some way or special because you have this ability to bring life, to earth, and then this ability is taken out at some point.
Yeah, maybe it's like a little bit of a subconscious grief for
Mm,
not
it
having it
is.
anymore.
Like how I'm not able to, even though I didn't want more children, like how what I'm not able anymore. It is quite interesting psychologically when you look at it as well.
Yeah, I see it also in some patients, like when women have different kind of, mm, let's say cancer, for example, and they don't want any more children, but if their organ needs to be removed, they feel like this pain. They know their body is going to be in perfect condition, nothing really will happen. But when I speak with them, they really suffer because they are not going to be able to
Mm.
conceive anymore and give birth, even though they never had this
Yes,
plan.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
So
almost like the
there,
force of menopause.
Yeah,
Or
so there is hidden power in it, but we are not using it until we lose it.
Mhm. Yeah, we don't consciously use it, as you say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the big goal is to figure to see that this cycle is giving us so many opportunities. And actually, when we see only the negative side, we don't have the whole picture. And of course, it's the same when, in order to have the whole picture and in order to experience life, we need to put the negative, but also the positive. And there you go, we have a whole piece, and this is how we can experience life fully. So yeah, and I think this reconnection, because when we are experiencing, for example, the cycle, or when we are pregnant, we need not only to reconnect to our body, but sometimes, as I told you, I could experience I cannot move the way I want. I need to slow down. So it's not only me who controls my body, but there is like a whole universe. I'm part of a bigger picture. So, and this is, I think, how we reconnect to our intuition, because we see that we are, and even conceiving a baby, it's out of our power. We might do the sex, but it's not us who is going to decide, is it going to be today or tomorrow when I'm going to get pregnant. So we see that we are part of a bigger picture, and through that, I think the woman constantly reconnects not only to the body, but to the universe, to energy. And from there, she starts to understand there is intuition and we need to trust it a little bit more. And because of that, I believe we are fortunate, because some men might have good intuition, but they need to find a certain way to reconnect. And we have it inside of us the whole cycle all the time.
Mm.
So yeah, so this is and this gives us the opportunity to be much more present, because every time we reconnect to our body, we have no other choice but to be present and start listening to the body.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the first stage when we are becoming moms, it's also through the baby, through this connection with the baby, we are also very present. Do you have something to add about the cycle, or I can move on to the next part?
Yeah, let's move on. I think it will be interesting to hear how to use it, because how to use this consciously, how to use this power consciously.
What do you mean by that?
Like you said, one thing is the intuition and the connection to the body and kind of being present. But I think the other thing that you said in the beginning is moving away from the victimhood kind of mindset to more from moving away from this, oh, I'm in pain and do I have to be in pain every month and all of that. So this is the victimhood consciousness, to more like the creative consciousness of I'm so empowered actually. And yes, I'm feeling discomfort, but this shall pass. So I think that is quite interesting. That do many of us women have more the victimhood mentality, or is it the other way around?
Yeah, we need to, yeah, we need to become conscious to what we have, and yeah, to use it
Yeah.
in our advantage, and not only for advantage, but just to understand this is enough.
Mm.
Because the biggest wound, I believe, that women are constantly complaining today about is they are not feeling enough.
Yeah, yeah, that's the biggest.
And and the biggest problem is because I believe in the past the women realized it was a different world, of course, but the women realized the power of giving birth, of having this cycle, of trusting intuition. And because today the world is more man oriented, the way it functions. And we are so much into the doing, and we forget that part of this doing is also giving birth and being a woman. So this is enough. And becoming conscious what this cycle gives you the opportunity to be more in the creation and in the creative process. Because the women, even the best doer of all women, she's still more in creativity because of our nature. And yeah, there is a lot more to talk about the cycles and a lot of trends that we can, because the way the man world functions is from 8 till 5 o'clock in the evening. So you go to work, you're productive all the time, and the way women function, it's a little bit different, and it's more according the cycle. And when we start trusting this, our lives become so much easier. And what I mean by that is, for example, we have like different periods. Some people would call it like right after we have our period, it begins spring and summer. So this is the stage of our monthly cycle when we are more in more energetic, more giving, more ready to meet with people. And then slowly comes the autumn and the winter period of our monthly cycle. This is where it's time for reflection, more to being cozy, to sitting more at home. And I believe it's very important for women to start accepting those cycles, because this will give them opportunity first to understand their nature, and then it gives you power when you want to be outside, when you're more into the doing. You can schedule your whatever assignments you have, you can schedule them, but then you can be a little bit more cozy and home. And I think this is a big shift, because when you're, let's say you're in fall in almost winter, and you want to be in your cozy spot, so it's very difficult for you to go outside to meet with people. This is where women oftentimes feel they are not good enough, but this is just our nature, and we need to listen to our nature and reconnect. And of course, I'm not saying that we cannot go to work from 8 to 5. It's possible, but we need to structure our schedule, and we need to be mm, more comfortable with our nature.
To ourselves and more honoring, that cyclicity. I don't know if that's even a word, but
Yeah.
the, the cyclical nature of it, honor it, and be kinder to ourselves. Like you said, there's certain days in the month where you are not productive, you are not in the best shape, and you don't even look your best.
Mhm.
Just because of that. And let's honor that, let's understand that's part of our treasure, and let's not beat ourselves up, but just be kinder to ourselves.
And then when we are in spring and summer, we are much more productive even than men. And this is where we need to focus, and we need to understand that we can be very productive. And we have cycles also during the day, and we have more productive stages. So we need to observe and to schedule accordingly. But this is possible when we are conscious, and when we go back to ourselves, to our body, and start listening to it. Because women can be very productive, but they just need to accept they have a different nature and start trusting it again.
Mm.
Yeah. And maybe if you have something to add, please, because I want to go in a little bit into a different direction.
Nothing from me at this point, but we can.
Yeah. So the other big part about our wounds, and it's connected to the cycle and to the energy. And I know it could push some buttons some here and there, and there will be some people who would disagree with me. But I think the other portal for healing our wounds is sex and the way we see it as women. And it's connected to the cycle, of course. And I think what we need to shift today as women, I know it's different around the globe and it's different for different cultures. But I believe the biggest mistake we do as women oftentimes, it's for some, first of all, we have like different beliefs that we form around sex. And we have those beliefs based on our culture. It could be society, it could be the family culture, depending on what our family expected from us. And I think many women have this concept inside of their head that they can bargain sex or withhold intimacy for receiving something. And I think this is the biggest mistake that we as women do. And it's a subconscious thing that it's happening. We are not conscious about those beliefs. We are not conscious that we are bargaining many times. So that's why it could be triggering, and some women might disagree. But oftentimes we bargain intimacy for approval. It could be for material possessions. It could be, we might bargain sex even for security and even for love. And I think this is the real wound that we carry as women, because sex is not something that we can negotiate. And it's not something it, I don't think it's a good idea to trade sex for something. And especially, and I might go a little bit further. It's even better if you trade it consciously, because at least you know what you're going to get. But when we are doing subconscious trade, this is the worst thing that could happen. And that's why we feel regret, grief, we are angry. And what I believe it's important is to start understanding that sex is pleasure and joy, and it's for both sexes. And now we are talking about women, so it's something for us. And I think it's very important to slowly see what kind of beliefs are limiting for us and where we need to break the patterns from the older generations. Not only because the way we have and experience sex will be different. Yeah, first of all, sex is energy, sex is pleasure, sex is health. So our life will completely change. But also, if we allow in our conscious mind to have pleasure and to enjoy sex, we will again we will be able to reconnect to our body, and from there also to experience our body is good enough. Because I believe the biggest pain women today have it's about appearance, and that's why mm, like they sell us so many products, beauty products, whatever kind of enhancement.
It's the biggest industry after, I believe, after pharmaceutical kind of, market.
Yeah, they make us make surgeries, do
Yes.
Botox, like do all kinds of
Everything. Yeah.
crazy stuff. And I think it's because deep down, deep inside, we are not accepting our bodies as they are. And I think if we go deeper and deeper, it's because we are not allowed. Once, when we are little children, maybe it's like little boys, we are good, we are feeling good in our bodies. But the moment we become teenagers, if we don't allow ourselves to have fun, to be in the pleasure, to have joy, to feel, because sex is life. It's part of life. It's the way we give life to another human being. So if we connect and accept our bodies, everything will shift. And I think almost all wounds will disappear immediately.
Yeah. Now the question is, how do we do it? And there was another question that came to my mind when you were talking about that subconsciously sometimes women are bargaining sex for something else, whatever. So what sits under this behavior? What is the reason for that, you think, Alan?
For bargaining, I think it's a lot of core beliefs. I don't know. It really depends on the culture, but maybe I can speak for my culture. Um, like different beliefs. For example, if you're a good girl, you're not sup-
You can't say no.
you're supposed to say no to 99% of men. You're not deep down, you're not really supposed to enjoy it
Yeah.
because
Yes.
you're
Sex has some kind of a purpose. It's not, yeah, it's a little bit from our generation. I think that's a bit the belief. So I'm curious, Chrissy, how it is.
I think I don't believe there is real fear other than I'm not going to be accepted in society or perception for me. If I enjoy too much, if I feel it's so much pleasure in it, then I become bad girl.
Yeah, it's almost like if you're enjoying it, you're a bad person.
I think it's this fear that comes it comes from society, and if I'm very honest about it, it comes from religion, I believe, because this is how you would behave as good.
Mm.
Because if you listen to your body, it's going to be a little bit too much. And that's why it's a very old wound that we have. And a lot of, even if you're not too religious, I believe those beliefs are inherited and are deep inside of us.
Yeah. So I don't know, Chrissy, if you can help us understand the younger generation, but I don't know, from the people around you, what do you pick up as beliefs around, sex and women, and you know, what would the younger generation say? Sex
Well,
is
I would say, yeah, that it's rather changing for the better right now. But there are still a lot of people, I guess, at least in my culture, that view it as something that women shouldn't enjoy, that women shouldn't want or show desire in. But I think it's very rapidly changing. Um, Again, like I guess a lot thanks to the internet and social media. But I think there is still this fear in a way, um, and maybe this, yeah, rejection, um, to rejection of our own bodies and our own desires. And yeah, but I think it's getting a lot better.
I, I I don't know if Chris is going to agree with me, but what I hear from a lot of my clients and younger women that I work with, yes, sex is perceived more easily, and yes, I can have it. But then the social media puts so much pressure on the way women need to look. There are certain ways that we need to look, certain appearances, and this is the, I believe that today the big pain for young women, and not only for young, for all women, is also for menopause women, this expectation you cannot get older. You need to look like as if
Young,
you're
baby, young.
25.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
cannot have wrinkles. It's not possible because
yeah.
there is this superpower expectation that we are like magic. and
Mm.
and in a way, yes, sex is kind of allowed, but we need to be in this perfectionism is so pushed forward. And yeah, how do we heal that? I think, yeah, I wanted to give an example. It's more of a personal example, but I think even reconnecting, and because our moms, I'm not sure if today, but because women are not feeling 100% comfortable in their bodies when they are 45 approximately, their daughters are, let's say, 20. So they cannot teach the younger woman how to feel comfortable in her body. So this is, I believe, a very important work that we as women need to do, is to start learning to feel comfortable, and really to not only to listen but to observe our body, to touch it, to feel it, to, because for men, for little boys, it's okay to play with their penis and to rediscover their body. And they say, okay, he is a boy. Even for 5-year-old boy, it's just normal to observe and to learn. But for us as women, it's, I mean, we are more open, but we are still not there yet. And I think we need to reconnect and really to to be interested what we have in front of us, in front of the mirror. And now it reminds me when I oftentimes give this example because it's a very big reconnection for me. When I'm in the morning in front of the mirror, I love doing my makeup. And through the years, I've been doing a lot of makeup. Now I'm doing very natural makeup. But this process of looking yourself into the mirror, observing, learning every single line that you have, like doing the pencil, then the lipstick. It's not so much about the outer world, but it's like connecting to your face, learning your features. And the more you do it, the more you start loving yourself and accepting it. Because it's not like I'm not connected to my face. I'm every morning in front of the mirror. So I start learning my features and I'm accepting and loving them. And I think the same thing we need to do with our body. Because when we just take a shower and go immediately dress up because we feel ashamed, like taking the shower, this is not how we learn to be connected. And later on, and when we are not connected to the body, it's difficult to have even a good figure because we don't listen to the body, we don't accept it, we don't like it. So it becomes a huge problem.
It becomes a vicious circle, right? Because then you're not accepting it, you're not feeling good. Because you're not feeling good, one compensation mechanism is to overeat or to overdrink or to, I don't know, anything over. And it's kind of a circle.
Yes. So this is the other important stage where I believe, and I think once we accept the body with all our cycles, and once we start consciously searching for those beliefs that are not allowing us to be in alignment with our needs and our pleasures, because when we are in alignment with what we want, it's normal. We'll be, I believe every human being who is in alignment, he wants to live, he wants to have pleasure, and she or he wants to have joy. And that's it. It's very simple. And the moment we find out the beliefs that are stopping us from doing that, it's the moment our wounds will heal. And then we won't be angry at somebody else. We won't feel like we are the victim to something. And we will start enjoying. And I believe once we start learning and experiencing our bodies more, this is where we'll find a lot of femininity, a lot of power, and our life will shift immediately. And I think because for me, there is no difference at the end of the day. If you cannot enjoy having sex, you cannot enjoy having an ice cream. And you won't enjoy having a salad, and you won't enjoy your walk in the park with your husband, because it's the same psyche that does it, because you either accept pleasure and you allow it in your life or you don't, because you're either connected and you feel like, oh, that's amazing, I'm going to eat this ice cream, I'm going to enjoy it fully, or you start. And this is how many eating disorders come to women, because you don't allow yourself to enjoy the ice cream, you don't allow yourself to enjoy this and that and that, and then you have first no pleasure, and then you eat the ice cream so quickly you don't enjoy it, your body doesn't feel it, so you need another ice cream. And this is how we overeat, or whatever kind of pain we do to ourselves.
Or how they say, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mhm.
I always found this was so powerful, just to kind of reflect for yourself how you have a snack. Is it in a rush or kind of in between, or do you give yourself the luxury to sit down and enjoy it? It's a bit what you're saying, you know.
Yeah. So I think it's very important to really reconnect. And I know creativity and playfulness always help to how to get back to myself, to my body, and acceptance as well. Accepting that we are not going to be the same, and accepting not only accepting, but from acceptance starting to loving what you have. And like now I think if you're curvy here and there, start like really touch it, really love it, really enjoy it. It's your body, it's your home. And not so much like looking perfect from like looking at the picture and wanting to be the same as somebody else.
Mm. We should really ask, and we should do, all of us should do the following. We should really note down all the things that we are telling ourselves when we look at the mirror.
Mm.
And I think it was probably in a book that I was reading that I can't remember now. But if you really note down everything that you're telling yourself when you stand in front of the mirror, and then you read it, and then you imagine that you say the same words to your friend or to a friend, or
Mm.
you hear a friend talking to themselves like this, you will be most likely horrified, or you would want to jump in and rescue the person.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, it's very important to start consciously giving love. And
Mm.
it's again about this pleasure thing. Because when you're in the pleasure mode, when you want to enjoy life, when you allow yourself to be joyful, you don't say stupid and bad things to yourself. You just, when you're in this kind of mode, you just love yourself. You say, "Oh, this is so cute on you. Oh, put this one. It's amazing." So you you start to look for pleasure, and you don't judge, you don't shame, you don't disappoint, you don't. You just allow abundance and love.
Yeah, but if you think about it, why don't we allow it? And if we go deeper, we'll often come to the conclusion it's because we think we are not deserving of it. And we
Mm.
are not deserving of it because we are not good enough, we're not that enough, we're not thin, we're not fat enough, we're not, I don't know, all of this not enoughness. And that's somehow how we are actually not allowing ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
we
connected, right? So if you
I
think,
think today, if nothing else, just give yourself the permission to be enough and to enjoy. And I believe this is a huge shift. If you give yourself the permission to be enough, to be beautiful, to love yourself, this is just good enough.
yes, of
Start.
course. Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. So hopefully we have inspired many of you lovely ladies out there to do this self-reflection and to allow for more joy in your life.
Crazy. Could you just share with us what are you leaving this conversation with? Just with a sentence or a word?
Um, Maybe I don't know. I wrote down like a lot of notes, so a lot of reflection is to be made, I think. But yeah, I think this was very helpful, very insightful for sure. And just, I love the new perspectives that you shared on such, I guess, in a way, taboo topics in
Mm-hmm.
our society. So, yeah, very, very insightful, I guess, would be the word.
Insightful. Beautiful. Diana, what are you living with?
For me, it's curiosity and acceptance towards.
Yeah.
And about you, Paul, what about you, Ella?
Yeah, when I thought of word, it's pleasure. Pleasure,
Beautiful.
joy. Yeah. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.